Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Great A's Attorney Chronicles. My name is Wayne Supernova. In the last episode, we finished up the investigation. Oh boy. And in this episode, we get a face full of Soseki trying to be a cat again. But yeah, pretty much most of the case is becoming very clear to me now. It's just a matter of proving how it came to be and what the circumstances behind everything were. And the way we're going to have to do that is via testimony, because we don't really have enough evidence to concretely prove what's going on. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Shamspear is the one behind everything, so nothing to worry about there. But let's keep it going. Oh boy. This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that has been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everything. And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Miss Susato. Suffering Soseki selfishly sidelined! Ah! Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume. Good morning! Good morning, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Listen to you two, chatting away happily as if the main player of today's trial isn't here! Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear. Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting! What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid. Somehow. You'll have to forgive me. I'm getting lightheaded from doing his voice. And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume. That was just an example! No, I needed to take a drink after that. What the fuck? Oh yes, there it is. Inner calm. Judging by his constipated face and his violent shaking over there, I'm not so sure that calm has the same definition in our dictionaries. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you would abandon me and then return to our beautiful long-lost homeland. I take it back. You really are a cat. We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. Yes, well, anyway. I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. I've actually reached an important decision myself. Oh? What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. Alright. So this is going to be the last trial, probably. It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. It's a very clear message, I think, that he's overslept again. The great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me.
Defendant and your legal representative. The trial's about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately.
That was the weirdest voice I could potentially come up with for them. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. Alright, let's try. First off, they'll probably attack us with the fact that the cup did have strychnine on it.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. It's almost Christmas, motherfuckers. It's my time, baby. I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready.
Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed?
Absolutely. No justice will be done. You mark... No justice. Justice will be done. You mark my words. I feel obliged to say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could just adjust my hat for me. And please, be as ruthless as you like. Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me. Especially gas thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all. I think we've got a little bit of a biased juror right there.
Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Van Jakes, what can you tell us? You Dracula-looking Castlevania motherfucker. The prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea.
So he does have the results. This is gonna be a long fucking trial. I need to pour myself a drink. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock. Pray, allow me a moment to savor a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it.
Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night.
Well, the brains at the yard analyzed it, and yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it.
No poison at all.
In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation!
As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is blameless. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true, no poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But, what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty?
My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel.
Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shakespeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. Isn't most tea bitter? Like straight black tea? Isn't that bitter by design? Green tea as well, to be quite honest with you. I mean, yeah, just most straight teas are kind of bitter. If you add extra shit into them and make them a different type of tea, then they're less bitter and they're more tolerable, but either that or your taste buds have been warped and you don't taste sweet food the same as the rest of us.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request.
Mr. Shakespeare. Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend. And probably not the last.
Bailiff, show Mr. Shakespeare to the stand.
Okay. I gotta do his ass. And his ass, I mean his voice. His voice's ass. I gotta do his voice's ass again.
Mr. William Shamspeare, the victim of this despicable crime.
Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given in mine innocence.
Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes.
One may smile, and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given.
That's right. Villagers, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all that about the ice coins a tidy secret, didn't you?
You should have owned up sooner. I think he's probably saying you should have owned up sooner so I could do it myself. Arrest him, I say! Arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail! Oh, indeed, by dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths, and for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it that a still greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me. But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will be quickly cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamspeare? Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak.
Very well. Let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea.
Oh boy. The tea inconsistency. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. I expected this, to be quite honest. I mean, like, this is the most easy argument to make against the only tea that we found at the scene of the crime doesn't have poison in it. Is just straight up the only tea that was poisoned was in my cup, and I drank it all. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus, 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the molds of soap. I don't think that's true. I think you poisoned yourself.
The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Quite. Otherwise, it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance.
But no poison bottle was found at the scene.
Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room.
And did you look there? Did you find any evidence of this so-called bottle? Oh, back of my throat needed to be cleared out. My apologies.
The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide.
Ugh, I knew that.
By now it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused's hands.
Ah! Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamspeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare.
Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. I'm not sure where to attack this one. We'll see. I think I'll just press everything to start with, but...
Hold it!
I didn't see a clear line of attack there. I understand that you were already acquainted with Mr. Natsume, is that correct? I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Do I know thee, or know thee not? Methinks 'tis all I can know, that thy destiny mingles with mine. You lost me at the first thee. Zounds, sir! Thou must learn the English tongue afore thou turns thy hand to lawyering. This isn't English, this is Old English. I did, but I must have missed the archaic Elizabethan lecture. Verily, and in truth, 'twas a fine flavoured brew, though a drop of poison did barb its sweetness, as the thorn doth barb the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be the simple truth. Listen to Mr. Shamspeare. He seems in even better form than he was yesterday. Either that, or I'm in worse form. That fated evening, after I did dine, at Grubb's Grubbery, a local alehouse of good report, naught did pass my lips but the tainted black tea. But behold, the poison was not in the tea at first.
Hold it!
Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea? Thou dost describe the actions of a fool.
Quite so, quite so.
But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched. Would I have the choice? Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea, in sooth I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right, no ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamspeare, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him. With the greatest of pleasure, my liege. See, now this part is the only one that really, like, confuses me, because that's completely different than what Natsume told us. But the teacup Mr. Natsume drank from was found completely empty at the scene. And let's not forget the defendant's maxim, drink tea while it's hot. I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony did I writhe uncontrolled. In fits of pain I did knock the fellow's cup, and its contents spilt as blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly 'twas after I had made the coins of ice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim was slumped over. There is no contradiction here. It's true, there was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. But still, something about this statement is troubling me. Yes, of course, I know what it is. It's Mr. Natsume's wise drink tea while it's hot maxim, isn't it? No. No, I'm not sure that's it.
Thank you, witness. Now reiterate for the court what it is that occupied you after your guest had left and before you drank your tea.
Well, first off, let me check this. Never did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. I want to look at things. Give me proof.
I mean, we checked the inside and it said that... So there's no tea ring on the inside of Mr. Natsume's cup. If he never drank... Maybe we want to say that if he never drank a drop of his own tea, there would be a tea ring. I mean, we know where the rest of this is. I wonder if olive green is going to show up at some point. We'll keep pressing for now.
Hold it!
Yes, so that you could cheat the gas company, in fact. Isn't that right?
To cheat or to die. 'Tis life's only choice.
Yes.
Faith, to cheat be the wise choice, and mine occupation be not an ugly one. Prithee, dost thou not see beauty in the simplicity of the ruse? No, I don't, and be very sure, sir. Once this trial is over, Altamont Gas will take you to task over this legal task. I shall not run, I shall not hide. Sooth to say, I have nowhere to run nor to hide. But, my lady, what wouldst thou with this pitiful player? Oh, I'll tell you what I'd like to do with you, starting with a shoddy shirt on your back. 'Tis time for a Shakespeare dance! What a harsh world we live in. What the fuck was that?
The thieving of the gas was addressed in yesterday's proceedings. The prosecution calls on the defense to not muddy the waters with irrelevancy. Consider that a warning, counsel.
Yes, my lord. Why am I the one in trouble here?
Mr. Shakespeare, after the accused returned to his own lodgings, you used his tea to make your coins. Is that correct?
To cheat or to die. I did make my choice many moons ago. Hold it! If, having first made your special coins, it was after 2 in the morning when you collapsed, that would mean you can't have drunk any tea yourself until around that time. Once ensnared by literary debate, naught else be found in the furrows of the mind. The debate about Romeo and Juliet, you mean? And who was the stronger of the two? Rightly did I pay no heed to the tea as I wrestled with the abominable fellow. I don't remember debates like that when I was studying. Well, you were studying on a ship.
Are you suggesting that neither of you actually drank the tea whilst it was hot that evening?
My lord, wouldst thou be privy to some Shakespearean wisdom? Husband, wife, and tea ought I tepid be. Ah, yes, so very true. Everyone has different preferences when it comes to tea.
I think you might have interpreted that wrongly. Okay, so I think it's the teacups on that third statement. So it's been proven that there was no poison in Soseki-san's tea. That should be hugely in our favor. But the atmosphere in this courtroom today...
It feels as though everybody's against us, Mr. Naruhodo.
It must be the Reaper's poison.
I'm afraid that if we don't find a significant flaw in this testimony somewhere, the jury will pronounce and find Mr. Natsume guilty.
It really feels like we've jumped into the fire here. Okay, let's go ahead and save real quick. Just right over that one. Oh, we have all 5. And then...
Objection!
Okay, yeah. That is what they're looking for. You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible.
How? Chop logic? Chop logic? What is this, ye dark-y-clad fiend? The two teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves the tea in the cup for a while. And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring. Good lord, you're right. It's completely clean. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday. The Japanese saying he quoted. Drink.
Tea. While it's hot.
That's right. Yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. Oh. If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspear, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery!
Objection!
Don't break it. Don't break it. You can avoid your tendencies. I believe in you, Von Zeeks. Do not break that chalice. As a rule, I fill my hollowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. Oh really? You're turning into Godot now. You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspear. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused's cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the seam? Oh, come on, man. A fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup below. When I looked, 'twas empty. And thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest. And you've just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that? People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us 2 things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that this spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, the testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistency claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No! What does this mean then? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony.
But for the bit about the thieving gas, obviously.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Alehouse that night, naught did pass my lips,
but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death. And on what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favorites. A broth as wouldst be called soup, and a leaf as wouldst be called salad. As insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas, but I pray ye wise and noble fellows, ne'er forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamspear doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. My lord! Here we go. If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman? I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer. By me?
I do declare you may be right. We all know the waif there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm.
But this lawyer's lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path, that's what he's been doing.
I really never said anything like that.
But what we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury's findings.
What? No! You can't yet!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Damn, they just all went for guilty. I was actually kind of surprised. I was thinking that the fucking... The bee woman would, pick not guilty, just to spite. But apparently not. Oh, I forgot to say that. I hereby declare the jury may be in all accord. Oh, happy day! How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination.
Very well. The court upholds the defense's right.
Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth.
This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime in which he is charged.
And, yeah. I'm just going to press every single one of them, and then I'm going to take their points, and I'm going to shove them back in each other's faces. Jurors' contentions. Oh boy. Squeaky chair, squeaky chair.
I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty.
That doesn't tell me anything. I do agree that gas is far too Oh my goodness. I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying.
The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is.
Oh, that might be worth something. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes.
Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there?
I can't do his voice. It's gonna destroy my fucking vocal cords if I do the old man's voice. So I'm just gonna, enter my own ad-lib for it as we have to do his shit.
I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced decisions somewhat. But never mind.
No, you really should mind. Oh my goodness. My mind ground to a halt and I couldn't even remember what Susato's voice was for a second there. That was weird. The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. And Mr. Shamspear was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think We need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspear was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely almost impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsume will be found guilty.
No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination.
Okay. We will try. This is a hold it. All the evidence, you say?
That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing to that Japanese man with the big mustache,
says the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. If only we had that kind of evidence. Don't worry, the summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there will be a shift in the situation that shows an existing piece of evidence in a new light. Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock. Alright, so attack his later. And his, attacking his statement will probably be the end of the summation examination.
Hold it!
This isn't the time or the place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas, and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either. If I might interject here. Yes, madam. It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt moustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas, utterly Oh, come on. How are you conflating the two? I don't think conflating is the word I'm looking for, but... No. Mr. Natsume isn't the one who's been stealing gas. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes. Mr. Natsume hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's as made up as the price of gas.
Hold it!
Could we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like. I mean, to be honest, I'd take poison over gas every time. You'd take poison? What I mean is, poison can only poison you. It doesn't explode, does it? Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man. Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. Ah! You're right! I hadn't considered that at all. You know, I considered him one of the smarter ones in the last game. Young lawyer man. Yes? You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company's legal representative. Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. And all I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, What about getting electrocuted? What about all that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison.
Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable.
My point exactly. But the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madam? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and we deliver it to our customers fair and square.
Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madam. Altamont is an exemplary gas company.
But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all.
What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people?
You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that.
They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible?
Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with the household supplied by those pipes, and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft. When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks. Oh, interesting.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3?
Oh golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself.
I really did catch him off guard there. I think you did. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct?
Well, yes. I just got a little riled up about it recently, you see.
Go on.
An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipe work. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did?
I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us.
He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows. But it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you.
What do you mean?
I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network.
Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it?
Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment.
Oh, that might play into the GASSED thing, where he's like, oh, the lights flicker so I can fucking tell. Oh. Any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Oh, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of an adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes.
Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you?
Well, if he blew hard, then...
Wait, you mean... That's right. The lights didn't just flicker, they went out, along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house.
Oh, shit. Interesting. Oops. Forgot to not click that button. What a disaster.
The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all, I said?
So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish the lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. Hey, guess what? Guess what? Hello! He's blowing into the fucking lamp. Jesus Christ. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room.
Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps...
Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information.
Oh, well, if you'd like. I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that try to diddle us. Like I said, madam, it's widely known already.
Very well. Juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly.
Yes, my lord. Although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is.
Oh, it's very worth it. How do I pit this against something? I think I want to go and check these two too, before I, you know, pursue that. You mean it's poisoned? That's right. It's happened a tiny few times now. This is most troubling indeed. It's always days like this one when I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it, my wife. She gets that devilish look on her face. She slips some white powder into my cup.
And you drink it anyway?
I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it.
And what happened to you? What did it taste like?
It was god-awful, believe you me. Salty as hell.
Oh. Oh, okay.
we have to cut away to fucking Van Zeeks over here to know how disappointed he is in this fucking statement.
Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt.
No! So, she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh? Unbelievable. Let's move on, please.
Oh boy. I'm gonna have to try and do this person's voice. Does that mean that if the victim could be shown to have ingested something else, you'd change your leaning?
Sorry, what's that now?
Oh, I was just saying, if the victim did actually eat or drink something else on the night...
What's the matter with you?
Sorry?
I said, if nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all?
I feel there's an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here. Compared to the other jurors who don't even appear to have anything to say about the case at all, it would seem that this elderly gentleman has been listening to the proceedings far more intently. I suppose. The trouble is, he has selective hearing? Exactly, but still, this juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. Okay. Ugh, this is hopeless. There's no way for me to appeal to these people. I do think that the only way we shall overcome this difficult situation is by exposing the way in which Mr. Shamspear was really poisoned. We have to prove that it happened some other way, and not via Mr. Natsume's tea. Yes, I know. The trouble is, I have absolutely no idea how it did happen. Mr. Naruhodo, I wonder if perhaps there's something you might have forgotten. Oh? Like what? It's important to watch everyone involved and pursue people if they react to something... Yeah, I already did that. If you'd like me to remind you exactly what I mean, I'd be more than... No. Once again, Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands here. Probably owe it to my client to hear any advice my assistant may be able to offer. So, I already know. Actually, I don't think there's any need. It's vital that we start trying to change these jurors' minds as soon as possible. Of course, I'm sure you're right. But if you decide you would like your memory refreshed, you only need ask, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, am I supposed to pit those two together? I'm going to quickly save first, because I don't quite see how that works. I mean, I know of a piece of evidence that proves that he was doing that.
So maybe it's this.
Protection.
No, it is not. Try again. Is it this? Aha, so you have to go with this first. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious, to whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6. Did you hear what juror number 3 just said?
Eh? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other.
There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a matter of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question.
What? What explanation?
I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene? To see if there were any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time, but the mouth of a gas pipe... Scotland Yard had to have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. What a piece of work! It's a man! What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare? What speakest thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd be quite clear. I thought I'd have been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body.
Good lord.
Whoa. I tilted back in my chair and felt like I went a little bit too past the point of return, but I didn't. Boy. Are they tasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying? Or is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him then, For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes. Ah, there's number 2. This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. And there's number 3. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say. It's true. I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare has been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself.
So would I. Let's see this evidence then.
Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that, time and time again, Mr. Shamspeare stood in front of his gas lamp. It's, this picture.
What the?
These are... wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene.
Skin prints, counsel?
The Justice Ministry... Did I miss something there? I looked away for a quick second. Oh, yeah.
Skin prints, counsel? I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however.
My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Uh-oh.
It reveals all of the places that Mr. Shamspeare touched in his room.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure.
I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating.
We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes.
However, Mr. Shamspeare also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here,
Around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible.
well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you would find yourself directly in front of... Ah! I don't believe it! The gas lamp. Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp.
Why, what have you been up to, you nut?
I'd ask the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you'll recall juror number 3's statement... What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights and the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shamspeare were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will.
Crikey!
Are you suggesting that the man purposefully caused the gas to...
Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination, I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law.
The letter of the law?
What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case.
But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective.
It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands.
Well, there's number 4. Got 3 more chalices.
Ugh. Certainly, even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence.
But... Please, my lord, if I may. Miss Susato, it was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wished to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene, as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Aha! And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree.
You know, Susato's smarter than us. I'm gonna be quite honest with you.
You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide.
Juror number 3.
Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what that shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints.
There's 2. We need 1 more. What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait. You heard his lordship. It's not fair to dig him evidence.
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. If just 1 more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue.
Thank you, Miss Susato, but I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh no, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success.
I would hope it would be juror number 4 who would change their leaning.
Why, Mr. Shamspear, you seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it.
Very well. Continue, counsel.
Alright. But, despite having to find out one more thing to change the leaning, I think we're going to have to stop it here. Not only because we're around the hour mark, but because my voice is kind of shot right now. And it needs to rest. So I will, I'll meet you guys back here in the next episode where we finish off this summation examination. Hopefully bring in Soseki to get his testimony about the fact that his stove ends up off after he leaves it on during the night, and you know, all that stuff. Because I'm pretty sure he's intentionally blowing out the stove and trying to leak gas into his room to fucking poison him to death. And for some reason, he's not succumbing. I don't know why he's not succumbing to those attempts, but he tries it pretty frequently considering the handprints on the wall. So, yeah, maybe we'll learn the truth of that next time and get a little bit closer to the finale of this case. But until then, thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff if you feel like it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.